Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 25th of May. So let's have a look at where we are then. With the euro dollar, yesterday didn't come to much at all, but much of an inside bar, maybe a bullish harami arguably, which could see a bit of upside, but when you start coming down the time frames it doesn't look particularly good with a lower high still coming in, lower lows. On this 4 hourly it's possibly a bit previous on that in a sense, because there was an element of divergence between the two lows there, so there's a potential for it to pick up. So looking at this more near-term time frame here, well, it has put this sort of move in here, lower high, lower lows. I do wonder if we'll just see chop today. It's the last day of the before we go on school holidays, bank holiday. There's some data coming out later. Let's just click on the right figure here. We do have some data, yes, but not a lot that's going to affect the euro by the looks of things. So as I say, there is the potential. You can see it moving quite a lot, what appears to be quite a long way at the moment. It could pick up, but I do wonder if it will chop. If it starts breaking the trend line that's running down there, well, maybe look to buy towards yesterday's lows, the L1. Likewise, it sells off here. Still looking at Wednesday's lows there as a possibility. Never really made much of an effort to get back there yesterday. Whether it will today is not the same sort of story. I don't think it, unless something was more news bound. Could just see chop. Now pound quite similar in its price action here. A bit of another inside day there yesterday. It's not really given too many clues away, is it? I mean, if you didn't know this was the pound, not the euro, you wouldn't suspect too much or anything. There was no divergence across the lows here, and it doesn't bode so well, but similar price action at the moment, and again break of the trend there. Maybe we could get a shove up towards that R1. It's not clear for me. We could redraw this trend line across the lows here and say, well, actually if it sells off through that, I'll look at it. I think it's bitty. The movement yesterday was bitty, and it's possibly best left as well. Dollar yen, going out to the weeklies for this, because I'm going to bring in, I'm doing this because I just want to show what my trend line was. I know there were some other trend lines running across the near term here, and it ran into it this week, and it may be that let me just draw it on. Thanks. When someone writes in or puts some comment on there we go. So there's a near term trend line which could have been part of the element of softening. It had managed to break through it this week, but not managed to close above it as such at the moment. So that could be in play. It is coming down towards support though on that weekly area. I'll look at that more on Tuesday, as it's a bank holiday Monday in the UK here, so we will not be doing anything on the Monday. I'll have a look at it more then, but it could be in for a bit of a bounce. It's sitting on its daily 34 here. There's a potential. I mean, it followed through yesterday. There is the potential it could run through back to that monthly pivot yet. And certainly when you look at this sort of intermediate near-term sort of time frame, it looks like, well, it may have just popped in there, and it's given us another opportunity to have sold this morning, but we'll see. It's certainly lower highs at the moment. This little exception here, higher low, which is maybe change things around, we'll see. So again, indecisive here. So I'm just looking at these markets. I'm not particularly clear. I quite like the downside. Maybe again we could draw the trend line across here and look at the short side in this particular case, but it's not absolutely clear. So if in doubt, don't, is my saying. So looking at the Aussie, well, that's just consolidating of the last 3 days. It's not again doing too much. It's chopping along on its 4-hourly pattern, and it's looking quite a mess here. So yesterday any trades in that would have been long and drawn out. It is still trying to push to the upside, and there could be the argument for buying back towards that R1, certainly. Okay, and finally the Canadian dollar. The difficult one, as choppy as anything. It might be wanting to break now. This is the daily view, of course, and it's been chopping every couple of days here, and now I did see oil coming off a bit yesterday, the day before, and you see it's been in this very tight range over the last few weeks, a couple of weeks, beg your pardon. It does look like there's potential for it to push out through this upper side there, and certainly the higher lows. Well, arguably it's found a little bit into that new high maybe this time, but it's not the most not most convincing. I'll just check the oil price, what it's sitting at the moment. If that starts pushing it, selling off strongly, well, there you are. It's not particularly strongly, I wouldn't say. There's only a couple of dollars in this, but it is coming off, and that might be sufficient to allow that Canadian dollar to push on through the highs here. So it may just allow us to push through there. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. News-wise, I should mention second estimate GDP this morning, 9:30 for the UK. It doesn't often come to too much on a second estimate unless there's a big variation, which is rare. 1:30 we've got the US core durable goods. You could get a bit of volatility around this. I think anything with potential growth figures in at the moment may give a bit more volatility, so that's at 1:30. We've got Carney and Bank of England Carney, Fed Chair Powell speaking at 2:20. They're on a panel due to participate in the panel discussion titled "The Future of Central Banking." There we go. Well, they obviously want to both keep jobs, so I should imagine they say it's bright and rosy. You don't know what this, but it may get volatility coming out of that, but we'll see. That aside, we've got a speaker at 4:45, by which time it's Poets' Day, we won't be here. So 3 o'clock we've got the consumer sentiment. It's not done anything for a long time. It might start picking up a little bit, but at the moment I think it's going to be a quiet day on the news front. Have a great one. I'll speak to you Tuesday. Bye for now.